Hello and welcome back to Crunch My Numbers, where we tackle the real challenges of running a business and we're exploring ways to grow personally and professionally. I'm your host, Paul Redmond, and in today's episodes, we're diving into the art and the power of saying no. It's a really simple word, but it can have a profound impact on your business, especially on me personally. It can not just affect your business, but also affect your personal life and your overall mental health. I struggle with this power of saying no in certain areas of my life. If it's something I'm really into and something I really like, I say yes to everything. And if something I don't like, I'll probably say no too much. So it's understanding that if you say yes to too much, it can backfire in so many unexpected ways within your business. So what we're going to try and do here today is we're going to explore how to prioritize, make the most of your time, and achieve more by using the skill of saying no. So I suppose really the problem with saying yes to everybody, and especially depending on where you are in your business again, and we're talking constantly about the 4 areas of business: startup, grow, scale, and harvest. And it also depends on your own personality type and what you like to do. Some people say yes to everything, but some people need to be involved in every decision that's made within the business. And some people are hands off within their business and how they manage their team. They trust their team to do work and stand out of the way. So you really need to decide where you are in your journey. If you're starting out your business and there's an opportunity comes, you're going to say yes to that opportunity because it doesn't just fill up your schedule. It keeps you busy and it keeps you focused on the business. And so the power of saying yes at that stage can be fantastic. But what happens if you keep saying yes? So if you're starting a business doing whatever it is, say you're installing cameras and you're a security guy and you're doing cameras in your business, right? So somebody comes and says, will you do this? And you say yes. And the next person comes and you say yes. And it's a little bit outside the zone that you're working in, but you say yes to be busy. So what happens is then you start to get busy, and this can lead to overwhelm, and it can lead to exhaustion, and it can eat up your financial resources, and even lead to relationships and mental health issues for yourself. So when you start saying yes to everything, as I did myself, and I did it for years, even early in our business, I said yes to every project and client that came my way. I thought it was the best way to prove myself, but soon I found myself drowning. I had so much work to do, and some of the work was work I didn't want to do. And it felt that I was working long hours. I was burnt out. I was feeling that, why did I start this business? How did I get into this business? This is not what I meant. I'm under more pressure now than when I was an employee. And it wasn't until I started learning how to say no that I could truly focus on what mattered and gaining my own balance and gaining back my own control within my own life, in every aspect of my life. So how do we understand what is the impact of overcommitment really? And how can you actually set yourself up that you can observe that you're overcommitting? And this is the hard part. Like, it's easy saying yes, but it's how do you get out of the responsibility and the obligation that you've done? So let's just look at what happens when we overcommit. If you overcommit and say yes to so many things, you've actually missed out on some maybe meaningful opportunity that's come your way. And you don't have time to actually analyze the opportunities that's in front of you because you're too busy doing the projects that you didn't want to do. And it becomes sad and it becomes really easy to do. And it doesn't matter who you are in your life, what stage you're at in your business or your personal life. It has a really big impact on the 3 main areas, which is health, wealth, and relationships. So when you look at those 3 areas and you look at the impact on the 3 areas, so you're saying to yourself, well, I was supposed to do this with my family. I was supposed to go watch my children playing a sports match or go watch them in a play, whatever it was. But no, I had overcommitted in work. I've promised this project out. And now I've decided when I've said yes here, I cannot say no. So I leave. I'll catch up with the next game or the next thing. And that doesn't really happen. So that's personally, and that's mental health wise and all that. As I said, that can have a massive impact. But also there's a financial impact. So taking too much on means that we're spreading resources in areas that we don't have the resource to spread in. So if you're in your business and you're overcommitting to a specific project and you're leaving behind because you've overcommitted to this project and it's time sensitive for it, you have to spend the time in it. And now you're letting down your other obligations for your other clients and you're not able to get to the other work. And that means that your professional reputation is damaged. It's bad for business and people are looking at you wondering what is going on and how can you necessarily deliver and how can I build a relationship with you if you're actually overcommitted in another area. Now I know that that's all sound very, very negative. It all sounds very overwhelming, but in the context of what we're talking about here, it is overwhelming and it is detrimental to all areas of your life. So for me, I have to actually sit down and how did I shift out of overcommitting? How did I shift from that overwhelm to being empowered? And first thing I did was I talked to the people around me. I talked to my team and said, look, I can't do all of this. You need to take it on. And I'm very easy in terms of handing over work to somebody else and letting them build their own abilities and trying to support them on the abilities when they're creating their own path to this. So the simple little exercise, and I've seen it somewhere online. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Tim Ferriss who said, create a not to-do list. So what is a not to-do list? So sit down, get a sheet of paper out. And as you've seen over my podcast, I'm a big proponent of writing things down on a sheet of paper and just brain dump everything in your mind, in all areas of your life that you don't want to do and you're not going to do anymore. Now that can be things in work like it can be administration, it can be sales areas in work, it can be production work, it can be, working with your team, education. So whatever the area that you don't want to spend your time on in work, create that not to do list. I am never going to raise an invoice. I am not going to do bookkeeping or I'm not going to do this or that. And I'm not going to not go to the gym, for instance. I'm going to spend my time doing the things I want to, but the first thing I have to identify is the things I'm actually doing. And how do you do that? So how do you actually sit down and do that not to do list? What I like to say to people is you take a week in time because a week is a good block of time. And this covers weekends as well. And you just write down what you're doing. Sit down and say, from Sunday morning, here's everything I've done on Sunday. Here's what I've done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Do it in blocks of 15 minutes. Stand back. And when you get to the end of that week, analyze that information and say, was this a really good use of my time? I'm looking at one hand on goals I'm trying to achieve in the business. And now on the other hand, I'm looking at the things I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, but I'm still doing them because I've always done those things. And when you look at the two lists, you say to yourself, am I crazy here? This is where the problem is, overcommitting. This is my not to-do list. I now know where I'm spending my time. I now know where my time being better spent in other areas and larger rewards. So if I spend my time speaking to my clients, talking to my clients, having conversations with them, that's a better use and always has been a better use of my time than sitting down and doing something that I didn't really want to do. Not only that I didn't want, somebody else could do it a lot better than me. So shifting from overwhelmed to empowered starts with this not to do list. Now, if you sit down and analyze your time where you're spending, everybody has the same number of hours within the week. Everybody has the same number of hours in the day. If you're sleeping for 8 hours, if you're actually, working for 8 hours, then you still have 8 hours left. What are you going to do with that 8 hours? And you break down the times, you'll find a lot of wasted time. And I'm not saying that we need to calendarize every minute we have and we need to stick to that schedule, but you need to be aware of where you're doing. So when you have your list, the actionable tips are that prioritise. Start by identifying the highest value activities. What tasks truly drive your business, you truly love doing in your business or your personal life moving forward. If certain tasks are repetitive, consider automating them with tools and delegating them to a team member. Finally, the practice of saying no assertively but kindly. Thank the person, explain that you don't have the capacity right now, and if possible, offer a solution to the question that they're asking for you to do. So finally, I just want to go finally. So wrapping up, and this is a relatively short podcast, but it's a podcast that has impacted me a lot. When you have built your not to do list, when you have prioritized, when you have decided to say no gracefully, now what you need to do, you need to actually take some time and decide, what do you really want to do? Where do you really want to spend your time? Where do you really want to say yes to? And the areas that you really want to say. But when you decide to say yes to these things, you need to continuously monitor. You need to continuously review that you're not slipping back into the not to do list. Because this is not, as a lot of other things, it's not a done once and finished. It's a skill that you have to learn, and you have to learn that skill over time. So don't be overwhelmed by it. If you stop doing one thing and say no to one particular thing, eventually you'll say no to 2, 3, 4, 10, and all your not to do list. And by just doing that, you're going to actually start getting empowered again. And you're going to realize that saying no is a really, really good skill, one that becomes easier with practice. So start small, get comfortable, with declining low value opportunities for you. Each time you say no to what is not important, you're actually saying yes to what really is important. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you got some value out of this today, and we will talk to you on the next podcast. Thank you.